questions.
Welcome Yamhill County to Speaking Frankly. I'm your host, Howie Harkema, and our tagline is, "And how we doin'?" So today my guest is from Head Start of Yamhill County. She's the executive director, and she is Suey Linzmeier. Suey, nice to have you with us.
Good. Thank you.
Suey,
Thank you for having me here. That's okay.
So, what is Head Start of Yamhill County?
All right. So, Head Start programs are all across the nation and in Guam and in Puerto Rico, and they were set up in the 60s as part of President Johnson's War on Poverty to support children to get that head start before they go to kindergarten. And it started out as an experimental summer kind of a program and grew and grew, and now we have it here in Yamhill County as well, all over the place. We serve little people prenatally when they're in the womb sometimes, all the way until they're ready for kindergarten. And we support children and their families holistically for comprehensive services that provide them with a head start to school and life.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So it started out to be just a temporary thing.
Yes.
And it's grown into
Yes.
this incredible thing.
An incredible program. We serve about 450 kids and their families as well, and have a little under, well, around 85 full-time staff who many of them have been parents in the program.
Sure.
So it's really a human development organization.
So are you a nonprofit organization?
Yes, we are a nonprofit. A lot of people, when they hear our title, Head Start of Yamhill County, they think we're part of the county. But we serve children and families throughout the county. And so we are a nonprofit. We have a board of directors. We have another governing body called Policy Council that's made up of parents. And we do all of the things that nonprofits have to do. So annual reports and budgets. And then we have a whole list of things that we have to do to keep the Office of Head Start happy as well.
Well, you got to keep everybody happy.
That's right.
So what is your mission statement?
Okay, I'm going to read it because
Yeah,
it's
that's
very
fine.
long, and I can't read it in Spanish, unfortunately, but we
Neither
do
could
have
I.
it in Spanish as well. So our mission statement is that we are committed to being a successful learning community, which includes a partnership with parents and their children, a celebration of diversity, an atmosphere of support, respect, and trust, where everyone is safe and experiences a sense of belonging.
That's a great mission.
It is. And it's really important to us because all of the families that we serve are living in poverty. And it's pretty extreme poverty. The state of Oregon defines poverty at 200% of the federal poverty level.
Right.
But our program, we're mandated to take people at 100% of the poverty level. So we have more than half of our families are two-parent families and really struggling to make a living. So these parts of our mission are very important to these folks who may never have had a safe place to be or a place where they've been respected or where
Right.
they can trust others.
Well, there's a lot of poverty in Yamhill County.
Yes, there is.
I hate to even bring up the stats, but
Yeah.
it's like 17.2%
Yeah.
or something crazy.
Yeah.
So you have these 5-year goals on your website that began in 2013 and
Yes.
ended in 2018.
Yes.
Would you like to talk to us about that?
Yes. So back in about 2012, the Office of Head Start said basically you can't just continue providing services, all Head Start programs. We want you to provide services for a 5-year period and make some very specific goals and work towards achieving those goals and have measurements so you can prove that you are doing the good work.
Right.
So as an organization, we had to figure out what really are the most important things, because there's a lot of stuff that we do, but I'm going to read those goals to you too.
Yeah, that'd be great.
They shape everything that we do. So our first and really most important goal is to support high caliber classroom instruction that helps children be prepared to continue to make progress as they enter kindergarten. So we really care about what's going to happen to them when they get to school, but it's not just getting them there, it's that entire transition.
Right.
The second goal is to support parents' efforts to fulfill their parenting roles through relationship-based practice in a culturally respective manner. And again, really looking at the strengths of each family, because
Right.
every parent wants to do their very
It
best.
has to be so individualized.
It does. And each of our staff knows that when they work with folks.
Right.
And our third goal is to support family goal setting and achievement related to self-sufficiency. Really, our goal is to work people out of poverty through education.
Yes.
So we know a lot about the community resources, and we kind of help navigate those systems. And then our fourth goal is to ensure child, maternal, and family health and well-being, which includes mental health and disabilities, through a comprehensive wellness and prevention approach. And then our last goal is to cultivate and maintain community systems and partnerships that help all children and families succeed in school and life.
It's so holistic.
It has to be holistic. You know, I think that's the beauty of what our program is. We're not just a preschool where the kids come. We know that children are with their families forever, and their parents are their first and lifelong teachers.
Of course.
And so for them to be successful, we have to make sure that the parents have some goals that they can achieve, because that really helps with their self-confidence. Some families want to get a GED, some families want to own a house, some
Sure.
are working on paying off a utility bill, some just want to be clean and
Right.
drug-free. So we support them with whatever they want to do and help them to make those goals.
So you're almost mentors to all of these families,
Yes.
every member.
Yes, very much so, to the point where a lot of families, when they leave us, want to give back. And right now, 48% of our staff are or have been parents or grandparents in the program.
Peer to peer.
Peer to peer, it's the best way to do it.
Yeah,
It's how you
absolutely.
develop that trust and that hope.
So a short background about Head Start here in Yamhill County.
So Head Start has been in Yamhill County pretty much since the 80s,
Okay.
and Head Start of Yamhill County, our nonprofit, started in the mid-90s.
Okay.
And at that time, we were funded for 157 preschool children, 3- and 4-year-olds, from the Office of Head Start, which is federal funding through the Administration for Children and Families. Since then, we have grown in an amazing way because the world knows how important early childhood is.
Exactly.
And the earlier you start, the better off all of the outcomes are. So in 2009, I helped to write the grant to get Early Head Start, which meant we could take 48 children and pregnant moms. Right away in the first year, that waiting list was 100 just in McMinnville of people who qualified. So we were able to do a conversion. So we took some of our preschool slots that were federally funded and kind of changed them to be the Early Head Start slots, because we know as soon as we can make that difference, it's really a much bigger difference. So now we have 97 little
Wow.
people in Early Head Start, and that includes 20 children that are funded through the Oregon Health Authority. So that's another little funding stream that came along a couple years ago. And then I think late 90s, the state of Oregon, through the Department of Education, provided funds that aren't passed through federal funds, but they're funds that are actually from the state of Oregon
Okay.
for Oregon pre-kindergarten.
Perfect.
And those funds have been growing like crazy. This year we actually got some expansion funds, 23 extra kids, so we can have a class in Yamhill, Carlton in their school out there, because we recognize that that's a huge pocket of poverty where there weren't a lot of services that certainly were affordable for a lot of families. So we're all over the place now. We have 4 centers that we owned. Back in the day, we were in church basements or in modulars that leaked, and it was not a lot of healthy spots. So my predecessor, Michael Eichmann, that was very important to
Right.
him to build these very healthy places for children and families and staff where they could be safe and where they could thrive in a healthy way. So we do have 4 buildings that we
So I know that you remodeled your building
Yes.
across the street here
Yes.
not that long ago.
Yes, 4 years ago it was completed and we could move in.
But I know that you're also outgrowing that facility already.
Yes.
Because I know that McMinnville Covenant
Yes.
has some Head Start
Well, we actually, when we were renovating that building, it took longer, of course, than
Of
we
course.
thought it would.
Construction.
Yes, but we didn't want to have kids displaced. We wanted to continue services. So we were able to work with Covenant and with St. Barnabas and with Willamette Education Service District to house those kids for 2 years.
Right.
While we were renovating the site. And we got community development grants to do that, just like we got in some of for our other centers. And yes, we are already outgrown. You should never go over there at noon because that's when we have the transitioning. So 20 kids will come to one classroom and the other 20 will leave who had been there in the morning. And there, I think on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, there is a transition of 20, 40, 60, 80, over 100 kids.
Oh my goodness.
It's a well-oiled machine, and we've got excellent staff, and our bus drivers are making sure everybody's safe, but we could use more space.
So when you talk about Yamhill County, I saw on your website that it also includes Newburgh.
Yes. So our very first center that we had was in McMinnville, and that is the one that's been renovated. The first building that we built from scratch is in Dayton, and that's on property shared by the Dayton School District. So they provided that property to us, and with community funds, we built a little center back there behind the post office, and that serves families who are kind of the north end of McMinnville and Dayton and Lafayette. And then we have our beautiful center in Newburgh. That property was donated by the Austins, and it's just gorgeous out there. It's so quiet and serene, which is really important for kids who have some challenging things in life. And then we have a center out in Sheridan that's halfway between Sheridan and Willamina.
Okay, I didn't know about that one.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yes.
So Suey, Head Start of Yamhill County, do you have a board of directors?
Yes, we do. So we actually have 2 governing bodies. So we have, and this is required for all Head Start programs, we have a board that's made up primarily of business community folks,
Right.
and then a board that's made up of parents, and that's called our policy council.
Okay.
And we have parents also on the board of directors, and we have business people that are also on the policy council.
That's perfect.
It is perfect. So we've had some people who've been on our board of directors for a long time. They're very committed. And then we have some newer folks. We have people that represent school districts, and we've got a pediatrician who's going to be starting with us. We've got an attorney. We've got several finance folks. We've got somebody from YCAP who's their finance
Okay,
person. So
sure.
that's a great support because she can learn a lot about our clients because they're kind of all the same folks.
Yes.
Yeah, and who else do we have? We have our retired school teacher, retired pediatric nurse, and some parents on there.
Any of the homeless liaisons from the school district?
No, but we
interact
do
with
a
you?
lot of training with them. So we're also very strongly involved with the Yamhill Community Cares Early Learning Hub.
Right.
I'm the co-chair on that group, and one of the projects that we've been working on is a home visiting coalition. So all of the people that home visit with families throughout Yamhill County get together, and we share professional development opportunities and get to know one another because we might be working with the same families. So we do include the school district homeless liaisons in those trainings and those opportunities.
That's fantastic.
It is, because they're all our kids.
So you have other committees and councils, but you also do an annual report.
Yes, we do. So as a nonprofit, we're required to do an annual report. We have it in paper format, but we are trying to do things less
Yes,
papery.
less trees.
Yes. So we do have it on our website, and we post those every year. And when I ask people, do you want to read our annual report, they think, oh, we just don't want to look at those statistics. But we're all about the pictures and the stories.
Great.
So our annual report always has pictures of kids and families and the staff, and then always a success story that is either about a family or a child or even one of our staff people.
That's fantastic.
It is. It's very fun.
So would you bring up the website and the Facebook page and the phone number, please, Andrew? So what are some of the programs and services that Head Start of Yamhill County has implemented?
Okay, so we do classroom time for 3 and 4-year-olds, and we do home visits for everybody that is in our program.
That's fantastic.
It is, and when people are pregnant until their kids are old enough to be in the preschool program, they get a home visit from the same home visitor once a week.
So important.
Very important, those relationships, and learning how to really learn how to trust and get your needs met. We also provide a lot of really fun stuff. So we do a lot of parent education, and we've grown to be leaders in parent education.
Not surprising.
Well, because it's our parents who have been, or our staff people who have been parents in the program.
Right.
And they're really good at helping everybody to open up and to know that parent education is something that everybody does, not just people who are mandated to do it. So it becomes a fun time to learn more about schedules for your kids and bedtime routines and sibling rivalry and how to get them to eat vegetables and things like that. So,
well, those parents have already been through all of this.
Yes.
And they know how much, how important that growth is, not only for the child, but for parenting. It's an ongoing thing forever.
It is, and it's really fun to see some of our families that have been in the program for years do that. So we also have Dudes Days. Dudes. We couldn't figure out how to translate that into Spanish, so we just leave it as Dudes. But we really have a lot of what we do, whether it's in the classroom or at home visits. We always want to include the men in the lives of children.
Yes.
And some kids don't have healthy men in their lives,
Right.
so it might be grandpa, it might be uncle, it could even be an older teenage sibling. But we want to have special times where the dudes come together with the kids.
Right.
So every year we have, we've found that it's a really fun thing to do this at the swimming pool. So we invite all the dudes and the kids to come swim, and we pay for the rental of the pool, and then we give everybody a sack lunch at the end. And nothing like being in the water to normalize life and play and have a good time.
Well, at least you wait until after to feed them. You know,
Yes.
the old wives' tale of don't go in the water.
Yeah. And then another thing that we started last year was a Nurturing Fathers class. And so we had several staff trained, but our most successful presenter is our bus driver from the Sheridan Center, who was a dad in our program. And so he's going to be actually offering those again in Sheridan. Last year we had 7 dads that participated in that 11-week course.
That's fantastic.
Very fantastic. So let's see, what else have we done? We partner with the Yamhill, well, the folks up at Miller Woods for Earth Day celebration.
Love that place.
Yes, and we love it too because usually our families don't have transportation up there. So we fill up the buses and we bring them up there on that Saturday, entire families. We provide the food for the event, and then it's just a really fun time. This last year we were involved in a Seed to Supper project with the Master Gardeners out at our Newburgh Center because we have a little community garden out there. We do a lot with volunteers and practicum students from the various community colleges and colleges all over the place. So that's pretty neat. If you drive by and see our McMinnville Center, you'll see how beautiful our fence looks because the Linfield kids, the freshmen, were getting it all stained and all ready for school. So
all these college students are so important in these communities. No one realizes how important the service work they do.
Oh, definitely.
Is incredible.
And for our program, they do a lot more than stain the fence. We have them supporting also learning really who are these kids that are living in poverty, who are their families, and what are some of the services that can be provided out there to them. So
well, it's got to also give them a little education and awareness of being a parent.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
We hope so.
So how are you funded?
So we get our funding, more than half, about 58% of our funding is from the Oregon Department of Education's Early Learning Division. So that's about half of our funding. And then another very large component of our funding is the Office of Head Start, which is federal, from Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families. And about 5% of our budget comes from the Oregon Health Authority. We also are funded with USDA funds from the Child and Adult Care Food Program to help us offset the cost of feeding all those kids.
Of course.
Every child that comes to our place, even if they're there just for 3 hours, gets 2 home-cooked meals. And some of those foods, even the tortillas, are made from scratch. So we've got an amazing group of cooks. So if anybody ever wants to come and have lunch, we always need another adult at the table.
Awesome. That's good to know. And you also apply for grants, though.
Oh, we do apply for a lot of grants. Not everything can be funded federally, and
Right.
we're also required to come up with 20% of our federal funding through local sources.
Sure.
So one of our biggest funders is the Spirit Mountain folks.
Of course.
Every year they give us about $25 to $30 per child, and one of my favorite expenditures or things that we purchased with their funds was rain gear and boots for every child to have at school if they want to put them on.
Of
We don't
course.
make them. Some people love to be in the puddles, but we have enough because that's very expensive
It
for
is.
anybody, but especially families in poverty. I mean, a pair of boots can be $30.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
you can make the mistake of, putting gas in your car or not being able to make the rent and
Yeah.
buying rain gear for a
Right,
child.
right. So that's usually the last thing. So if you're in our classes, you can see those little boots are all lined up and
Little
you get
duckies.
and even the babies, when the babies go outside with their families, because
Sure.
babies don't come to school alone, they come with their family. But even the babies can be in rain pants so they can get on the ground and explore on the wet ground.
So who do you have partnerships locally?
Oh man, we have so many partnerships. That's one of the things that I love most about Yamhill County.
Me
You know,
too.
we're all in this together for
Right.
our communities. So yes, it is very yay. So Yamhill County Public Health, we do so much with them, from looking and supporting our kitchens to helping new staff get TB tests to providing, birth control and information on family planning for parents.
Sure.
Um,
Vaccinations.
Vaccinations, you name it. We also work very closely with all of the school districts because that's where our kids are going.
Sure.
So we want our parents to be ready for that, our kids to be ready for that, and we want the schools to be ready for who comes their way.
So Silas Halloran Steiner
Yes.
is awesome.
Yes, he's a good friend. He's a good friend. As a matter of fact, his mom is a volunteer in our program.
That doesn't surprise me a
yeah,
bit.
yeah.
So I know where you're located, but not everybody
Yeah.
does. Would you
Yeah.
like to talk about that?
Sure, sure. So we just moved our administrative office to be downtown.
Right.
We used to be a little bit out, I don't want to call it out the road, but on the
18.
fringes of town.
Yeah.
And when transportation changed hands,
Yes.
there's no bus stop out there. So a lot of our families don't have their own transportation. So now we're downtown, right at the corner of Johnson and 3rd, which is terrific. People can just walk right in. It's very easy to get there. And that's our administrative office, and we're all squeezed in there, but we're not there very often because we're out at the center supporting.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
But at least it's on the transportation route.
very much so, which is great. And I notice that we get a lot more foot traffic. It's very fun. There's always babies in the lobby, so
Oh, that's got to be awesome.
yeah.
So for parents and families, how do you enroll a child?
Okay, so we have actually, it's not complicated for families, it's just complicated on our end. We're required to take the most vulnerable and at-risk families in the community.
Right.
And so all a family has to do is fill out an application. We need income verification, but if they participate in any of TANF or food stamps, they can sign something on the back that provides the release of information so we can get that information directly from the folks at DHS. And they need to just submit the application. They can get it online or outside of any one of our centers. We can mail it to them. We can even come by their house and help them fill it out.
If they're from the Hispanic community, do they have to have a green card?
No, we do not require birth certificates or
Awesome.
anything. Nothing at all. So, and right now about 52% of our families, their first language is Spanish.
Sure.
And so we have a new person who does all of the enrollment services, and he speaks Spanish, and actually his kids were in the program several years ago. They're embarking on being teenagers. So
Fantastic.
he's even available to come over to their homes and help them to apply.
So what can the parents glean from all of this as well?
I was blessed because one of my staff was out ill yesterday, so I got to do parent orientation.
Woohoo!
I know, that's the part I love the most. And I let them know, we are here for whatever your dreams are. So you need to tell us what your dreams are, and we're going to help you have your dreams come true. So whether that's you want to work here someday, you want to get your citizenship,
Sure.
you want to buy a home, I don't know what, you want to go to college.
Whatever your dream
That's
is.
right. And it might take a really long time to make those dreams come true.
Sure.
We have a cook who told us a few years ago, I finally bought my house. When I was a parent, that was my goal, and I finally bought my house. You know, their dreams do come
That's
true.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Classroom involvement.
Oh, very fun. So the 4-year-olds come 3 days a week for 4 hours. We pick everybody up with the bus because we know that transportation can really be a barrier, not only for people in poverty, but people in Yamhill County.
Sure.
It's really tough. And so the 4-year-olds come 3 days a week for 4 hours. The 3-year-olds come 2 days a week for 3 hours. And then the babies come with their whole family on the bus twice a month. And while they're there, everybody gets meals and they brush teeth and they can learn how to be potty trained. They play inside and outside. They have some very structured things that they do because we really believe in intentional teaching. And then they can really learn through play.
We're going to run out of time, so I'm going to walk through the balance of these really quickly here. Parent-guardian rights, classes for parents and families, male involvement, which you spoke about a little bit, resources. But I would love for you to give us a success story before we run out of time.
Oh boy, there are so many.
I'm sure.
Yes.
But pick a good one.
I'm going to tell you about a woman who works in our office at the administrative level. She was in Head Start herself when she was a girl in Salem.
Perfect.
And had a really tough beginning. And her mom had some mental health issues, and that made it very hard for her. And she didn't have a lot of parenting role models growing up. And so when she became a mom, she struggled. And she actually started in our program as a parent and learned so much. And then she started working for us doing social services with other families. She went to college and got her degree, and now she's our health and nutrition coordinator, and her husband works with us as well, driving the bus and teaching the male involvement classes. So to me, that's a success story that we
it's
see
beyond
right
successful.
away.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So we have about 3 to 4 minutes left. So what was your background prior to coming to Head Start?
I have always loved working with children and families, and you know, I think people who do this work, they're born with that love of supporting
that
others.
Compassionate
Yep. And you know, I was a babysitter and all of that kind of stuff, but I lived in Alaska for 25 years.
Wow.
And worked with children who were in daycare. That's what we called it back then. Now, politically correct terminology is childcare, but back then it was daycare. And I worked with the children who needed to be not with their parents during the day because of social service reasons. And so I learned a lot. I came from a pretty privileged background where education was available and we didn't have to worry about resources. So I really learned a lot. And I did that work for a while, and then I had my own business doing childcare. And then I started doing nutrition education training and providing supports for a nonprofit, the Association for the Education of Young Children, and worked with childcare providers all over Southeast Alaska, helping them to obtain just really information on best ways to feed kids. So I moved down here and took 2 years off and was a teacher in the classroom. And then when the kids went to kindergarten, I came to the administrative office.
So you're very aware of the snack program.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, good work they're doing.
So what makes your day?
What makes my day?
Yeah.
Certainly it's not all that paperwork.
No, not the
There's
bureaucratic
a lot
red
of
tape.
it.
No.
I think what makes my day, like yesterday was just a surprise. Somebody said, Suey, we really need somebody to do the orientation. I said, yay, I get to be out there. So I got to meet new parents and share with them all of the opportunities that they could have by being in our program. I got to eat with their kids and get to know these little people that are going to be with us for several years.
They're our future.
They're our future, and they are so excited about school, going in and out of the door, learning how to be on the bus, learning how to be friends right away. That's what makes my day, is being with all those folks.
So you sound like you're very awakened.
Yes.
So what brought about your passion and compassion to do this important work, not only with community, but for the children and the families?
You know, I think that, as you said, children are our future, but I think that a lot of kids growing up, they live life how it is, what they've got.
Right.
And I want every child to have the opportunity for as many opportunities as possible. And I think that just because of how you were raised or where you live that shouldn't determine
Right.
what's going to happen to you later on in life. So we know that having somebody read with you, having another person who is an adult in your life that loves you and cares about you is something that can change the world, one little person at a time. So, it's
So
important.
Suey, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being on Speaking Frankly.
Thank you.
Folks, if you want to get involved, I know there's opportunities, volunteerism, involvement in other ways. So use the website, go there, and thank you for watching very much. Thank you, Suey,
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.